Welcome back. Thanks for stopping by. I'm just going to be rambling on for a little about finding clarity in a broken world, and maybe it might resonate. So, I found for me, as a young guy, finding clarity in this world is very difficult. It requires filtering out a lot of noise from social media, from friends, family, and even people close to you. Where there's so much stuff out there nowadays telling you what you should and shouldn't do, what you should and shouldn't be, how you should and shouldn't act. And it can be paralyzing a lot of the time, and I know in the past for me it has been as well, where we will sometimes act on the behalf of others and what others would like us to do, rather than what we actually want to do. We find it difficult to say no. We don't want to let other people down. We can often find ourselves concerned or more so worried about what other people will think about us, more so than what we actually want to do, the way we want to feel, and just how we want to act in the world. And I sit here from someone who used to be a bit of a people pleaser. I used to spend my days just saying yes to everything. And in the end, I became someone that was walked all over. I became someone that people didn't really have much respect for. Right? They could see that I was someone that just wanted to please everyone, and I never really had much of a backbone. I never really had much of an opinion because I wanted to cater to everyone's needs. And as a result, I found that because I stood for nothing, I, didn't really relate to any people. I couldn't really build many genuine relationships. But as time came on, I came to realize that the things that I did, the way that I spoke, the response that I gave, it was never truly from the heart. And again, I think a lot of that was fear. It was fear of letting other people down. It was the fear of not being accepted. And I think a lot of the times we do feel that. We do feel that sometimes we are not as accepted nowadays, and we often seek the validation because we don't believe that we are good enough. And this is the thought that I've sometimes that I still reckon with even now. The thought of, do I feel good enough? Am I good enough? And sometimes it is nice to be able to actually hear that, to know that. But again, it's then wondering, well, who sets your value? Who is the one that should tell you that you're good enough? How are you supposed to ever feel good enough? I think nowadays we often set expectations that are too high. There's so much stuff online nowadays, which I think makes this world broken. We see people living a certain lifestyle. We see people with a certain physique, with a certain amount of money, with a certain amount of, relationships and such, and we feel so behind. We feel that we should be taking drastic action. We feel like we should be doing something incredibly intense. And if we don't, then we're clearly not good enough. I think that's really the big issue. The bar has been raised incredibly high. And although sometimes that can be good, that can lift other people up, I think for a lot of us, and for myself even, I think sometimes we can crumble under the weight of that. We can feel that, look, if we don't reach that, we are nothing. Right? If we don't make a name for ourselves, if we don't make a certain amount of money, if we don't have this thing, then we're not enough. And it's even interesting to me because I've seen things online where even some of the richest people in the world, or a lot of these people that are super successful, are a lot of the time successful because they were so driven by a certain insecurity that they put themselves through such intense pressure and pain in order to effectively make that amount of money. But still, I think a lot of the time that never really solves the problem, because those are the sort of people that keep pushing the bar further. They say, hey, I'm not going to feel good enough until I make this amount of money. And then when they do, they realize they still don't feel good enough and they assume that it's further ahead. And that can go for a lot of things. Again, you can go for physiques as well. I know for me, before I got into the gym, before I started working out, I didn't feel good enough physically. I didn't like what I saw in the mirror. And so from there, I went to the gym, I ate better. And after a year and a half, even though my physique was better, I still didn't feel good enough. The way I looked, the way I felt it, like in my eyes, it felt the same. Matter of fact, I felt worse because I put so much time in, but still hadn't felt good enough, still hadn't felt like I was better. And that's a really dangerous thing, because I think one of the most important things, again, is just being appreciative for what you have. Because there's something just so problematic with the expectations nowadays, where you feel as if, look, if you don't hit it, you just simply aren't good enough. You can't get the outcome you want. You're never going to get the lifestyle you want. You're just going to be stuck. And I'll say this once, but I'm all for being able to improve yourself, being able to better yourself, and just continuing to build on meaningful things. But if it's at the cost of your health, if the bar is set too high, if you never give yourself the ability to detach, the ability to unwind, the ability to be grateful for what you currently have, then when does it stop? When do you take the time to pat yourself on the back? Because if you're not going to do it, then who else will? And I found for myself even, is that even when other people tell me I'm doing a good job, even when other people might give me a bit of support and appreciation, although it's nice, nothing feels better than being able to give appreciation and support to myself. I realize sometimes the validation I'm seeking is more so from myself than from other people. And realizing this, I understand that life isn't just streamlined. Life is different for different people. Some people are very happy and fulfilled, even when other people might look at their life and think that they're suffering. Whereas other people might have a very unfulfilling life and a very sad life, even when it looks fulfilling and exciting to others. And I know for me, I'd much rather be spending my life working on things meaningful to me, having clarity in the world on what I want to do, how I want to feel, where I want to spend my time, than wandering aimlessly around the world, consuming tons of content, getting negativity from the news, consuming controversy, spending tons of mental energy on things that simply don't matter. And that's the most difficult thing, I think. I think a lot of the problems we have nowadays, or a lot of the problems we believe we have, comes from ourselves. It comes from our belief, our thoughts, our perception of the problem. Where we believe that everything is against us, where we turn minor inconveniences into massive problems. We spend so much energy and attention on things that really don't matter. things that actually aren't that bad. And that can be difficult for different people. Some people like to vent their anger, some people like that release. But I think the release can be different for different people. I think when it comes to expectations, when it comes to fears, when it comes to worries and frustrations, it's good to be upset sometimes. But it's also good to push through it as well. It's also good to know that you can get through it. It's also good to know that life will get better when you start putting your energy into the right places. Life isn't just going to fix itself, so you need to keep turning up to it, perhaps sometimes even when you don't want to. But the most important thing I will say is knowing when to detach, knowing when to pull back a bit and realize and reflect on where you're at right now, on what you should be working on if you're actually in the right mental space. Because I have found through experience that burnout is real. Burnout is real, and you are no exception. It's difficult to describe what burnout is, but if I had to put it very briefly, I'd say that burnout is where your body, your mind is entirely checked out, where you don't want to get up and do anything, where the thing that you were once doing quite easily becomes a massive challenge on a somewhat consistent and heavy basis. So just know that if you do have those moments, you can always come back to videos like these, or moments like this, where you can wind down and just reflect and decompress, so that you can always appear to the next day far, far stronger and in a better and a healthier mindset. So hopefully you've enjoyed this video, and hopefully I've been able to help you detach and wind down after a long day. With that said, I'll catch you very, very soon.